Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about getting started with our research. The most important part of high quality academic research is making sure that you have high quality academic sources. The quality of sources is really going to be one of the major components in the quality of your finished product. So how can we tell if a source is quality or not? We're going to start with a very simple framework of questions to ask yourself. And these questions really are a great tool for figuring out if any source of information is reliable. This will include social media or the news or really any information that's coming your way. You can ask yourself, who's the author? What makes them qualified? Is it objective? And is it accurate? Those questions are going to get you pretty far in evaluating any source, so that's where we're going to start. The first thing we're going to ask is, who wrote this source? Your most credible sources are going to have an author, an identifiable person or at least organization that is taking responsibility for this information. When you have an organization, let's say it's, it just says staff reporter, Associated Press. You then need to check into the reliability of that organization. The Associated Press is a well-respected organization. We're cool there. If you're looking up an individual author, you need to think about what credentials they have. That is, what makes them qualified to give you this information. For example, my credentials to teach you English are my degree in English, my degree in teaching, and the numerous trainings I've been to in the IB program. When you're looking at a piece of research that you might want to use, an information source, your author should either be a qualified expert in that area, having a degree, probably an advanced degree, years of work in that area of study or area of whatever. I don't know what I'm looking for there. Or for some topics, maybe a personal experience might qualify them. You also need to consider that journalists sometimes can be considered experts, even though they won't be an expert in that particular topic. They're essentially expert researchers. So when you look into a journalist, you want to think, where are they writing for? Is this a high quality, trusted source of information as a newspaper? Or is it more known as a tabloid? Are other articles written by this person well-respected, well-regarded? And again, no matter what kind of credentials you're looking for, whether it's the degree or the reputation of an organization, these are things you can Google. We've got that great tool at our fingertips, and it's easy enough to get information that way. One of the reasons we need to know about the author is because we need to know if they can be objective or not. Now, it's important to note that I'm not talking about whether or not they're making a point or taking a side. It is absolutely fine for your research sources to have a point of view and make an argument. What we're looking to avoid is prejudice and bias that is caused from a motivation other than giving people information and education. Do they have something to gain from it, particularly profit or political gain? So I'm not talking about, are they getting paid? Of course they're getting paid. That's their job. I'm talking about, does a cigarette company have an interest in giving you information about how cigarettes really aren't that bad? Yeah, of course they do. They're not unbiased in that. They have a financial stake in you believing that information. And we can't, therefore, fully trust it. We also want to look out for really emotional writing or sensational writing. Even when an author is passionate about a subject, a reliable academic piece of writing is going to have a fairly even neutral tone. They're not going to get fired up. It's not, again, going to read like a tabloid or a dramatic story. It's going to be pretty level. You're also going to ask about accuracy. And you may think, how do I know if it's accurate? I'm trying to get information from it. Well, you have your other sources. So you want to always be sort of comparing them against each other and comparing them against what you already know. Trust yourself a little bit. If something seems off, it very well may be. If something is way different from your other articles, why is that? It might be that it's just new, good information, or it might be that it's really bad information or really biased information or information that's designed to deceive you. You can only know this by being really careful in your scrutiny of all these different aspects of reliability. You also want to think about the information and when it was written. Is it up to date? For some topics, it's not really going to matter when it was written. The information from 1950 will be as good as information written today. But there will be other topics where we've learned a lot since 1950, and the information's quality will be different because we don't have the right information available in 1950, or because our understanding of the world has changed since 1950. So, depending on your topic, you'll want to dismiss sources that are perhaps out of date. Some other things you want to look at: websites that aren't professionally written or published. That's no longer the easy find it once was. It's really easy to fake a very professional website that looks legitimate even when it's not. So it's harder to spot websites using this tool. Although if you find something that looks like it was published in the 90s, you probably don't want to use that. You want to avoid any wiki type sites, Wikipedia, that allow anyone to publish information. It's not that the information on those sites is inherently bad. In fact, it's probably quite good in many cases, but we have no real way of validating the information at the moment that you access the page. And so for this type of research, we can't use it. We also want to avoid sources written by children and students. That seems obvious, but I very frequently see my students writing research papers where they are citing other people not much older than them, just writing research papers in college. And that's being in college is not the credential you're looking for. There are some sources that we're just always going to avoid. Blogs, for example, are either going to be for entertainment, or if they're meant to be informational, the people writing them are usually going to be armchair experts, people who just have an interest and are doing this as a hobby. That's not what we want. Like I mentioned before, Wikipedia or other wiki sites, and by extension, we don't want Yahoo Answers or About.com. Again, these are people who might have qualifications and credentials. They might just have interest. The information might be perfectly valid. It also might not be. We can't tell enough about those sources to vet them properly. We don't want to use SparkNotes or homework help sites. Generally, they're not going to offer the depth we need. We, of course, don't want to use cheating sites. It's probably a little ridiculous to use freeessays.com as your research source, but I can't say I haven't seen it. Dictionaries, you can, if you need to use a definition, of course, cite a dictionary, but you shouldn't really think about it as a source. It's not really providing you with enough information. Anything that's published for entertainment purposes, again, might be right, but that's not what we're looking for. We need higher quality information than that, higher quality sources. So if you're doing your research on skincare, for example, Cosmopolitan is not the source we want. Fiction is not a research source, even when it is based on historical events. So a paper on the Salem witch trials should not discuss the Crucible as if it was a factual account. Books written and published for children, again, might have perfectly valid information, but we are trying to do college-level research at this point, and we do not want to use the same books you used in 3rd grade. And finally, we're going to avoid commercial websites that are selling you a product or service. I'm not talking about the New York Times selling tote bags that say New York Times. That's fine, as are websites that might have an ad on them. Most websites do at this point. I'm talking about not allowing Coca-Cola.com to be the main source you have on the health value of soda. And I think that's fairly intuitive. There are lots of other things we need to consider when choosing our sources, including where our time is best spent doing research, and we'll talk about that in my next video. So if you've got any questions, let me know. Thanks.